Yes, team, and welcome to what I hope will be another life-changing mindset coaching session. And one that I think what I'm going to talk about is probably has had the most influence on me in the last few months. And I also need to credit Mr. Peter Sage for this training because everything that I am about to recoach was taken from a seminar that I was at with him, and it simply blew my mind. I would go as close to say it's one of the most life-changing seminars I've ever been to. So these are kind of my notes and my journal from it, and the learnings that I took away with a bit of a personal twist that I hope can really help you guys to move forward, because nothing has helped me as much as what I'm about to say. And I believe if you can take this away and get your head around it, it will be some truly life-changing information. So life and everything that we know about it comes down to contribution. This is why the Unbreakable team, the squad, my full client base, the WhatsApp group, everything, the Facebook group is on absolute fire at the moment. And it's why it's becoming so special. I might be the leader, and I pride myself on not just being the leader, but being a leader also has to come from self-leadership, which is something that I'm going to do another training on. So we can't become a leader until we have first learned to lead ourselves. But that's going to be for next week when we're going to talk about self-leadership. So the reason why things are so on fire for us at the moment is the level that you guys are contributing, the time you guys are putting in, and the effort you're putting into helping and supporting each other, which will come very nicely onto what I'm about to say next. So almost all people that come to me, either as a private client or join Unbreakable 90 and become part of this plan, it's because they've either got a dark past that they haven't dealt with, or things they are struggling with. So it might be wanting to lose weight, it might be wanting to build muscle, it might be wanting to improve their mental health, it might be that their energy is low, it might be anxiety, it might be depression, it might be procrastination, it might be overwhelm, it might be dealing with grief. But generally, if you are watching this, you are here because you have something dark that's happened to you in the past that you need to deal with, or that you're not happy with where you are and you are facing many struggles that are holding you back from living the life that you truly want to live. Now, here's the kicker, as I always say. Nothing is bad luck. Nothing that's happened to you is bad luck. You're not where you are because of bad luck. It's happened by design. And the number one step to changing this and truly moving forward to live the life that you want is to take the spotlight off of ourselves and start to focus on how we can add value to the world, how we can contribute. And when we start to realize that life is a contribution-based experience, this will open up new levels of the game, because so often we are focused on how do we get more? How do we get more fat loss? How do we get more muscles? How do we get better mental health? How do we get a better job? How do we get more love? How do we get more significance? How do we get more money, which has been my biggest thing that I've had to overcome. So my entire journey, and I would say the secret to my success and how I've moved forward from my darkest times, is that I journal something and I write it down now. How can I use my darkest times and my struggles to go help other people and lift them up? That is exactly the reason why I started this company almost 10 years ago. And it's the exact reason why I've lost my way a little bit in the last 6 months. And I've had to get back to understanding this, because I've very much fallen into, how do I get more love? How do I get more significance? How do I get more sales? How do I get more money? How do I get more clients? Because I had a baseline of my own success that was based around material, measurable things, mostly my own physique, how many clients I have, and how much money I have, and how much success I have. That is what I was starting to measure myself on. And this is where it all went wrong. So this one is very personal to me, and I hope it will help you move forward. But when you can get in touch with this and start to live your life from a giving perspective, when we're thinking, how can I give more value and how can I help others, rather than how can I get more things and how can I help myself, you will then start to truly live an unbreakable life, which is why we're all here, right? So life starts working for you when you stop focusing on your own troubles, you stop focusing on your own problems, you stop focusing on everything that's about you, as we do naturally with our egos, and we start focusing on helping other people. So I came from the worst possible start in life. I don't think it can get much worse than losing one of your parents at 6 months old and being abandoned by the other one. But, you know, from as early as I can remember, and I don't really know why this happened, I think it was because there was a long period in what could be described as the least privileged upbringing on this earth, which when I then went back to live with my nan and grandparents became a much more privileged one. But during the times when I had nothing, and I mean nothing, I still always strived for success. I strived for validation, and I'm still doing it now. I beg for people to tell me that I'm good enough, that I look good enough, that I'm making enough money, that I'm successful enough, that I'm a nice person. And this will all have come with many of us from things that have happened when we were younger. So when I was young, I didn't have any love, didn't have any significance. I didn't have anything. In fact, quite the opposite. I was told by numerous people that I was useless, I was worthless, and that I would never amount to anything, along with that I had a big mouth that was going to get me in trouble all the time. So then when we think about why have I always strived to be so successful? And the reason is that I've now uncovered, with the help of this training and some other people, is to cover up my biggest fear, to cover up my insecurities, to cover up the biggest lie that I keep telling myself, the lie that other people told me, that I'm not loved, I'm not lovable, and that I'm not enough. So these are some of the things that I wrote down. I'm not good enough, told that loads. I'm not tall enough. I'm not big enough. I'm not brave enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not tough. I'm not clever. I'm not confident. I'm not good looking. And these are things that go round and round and round in your head. And I used to ask myself these questions. Well, if I was any of those things, then why wasn't I loved as a child by certain people, but loved by others? But the most important person, my father, I never felt loved by. So if I was any sort of thing worth loving, surely I would have been. And it's crazy how something so small can still be continuing 42 years into adult life. So this led to habits and actions that I still do today, because I didn't get any love, any attention, or was ever really told or validated or given any form of acceptance or told that I was doing well. I strived and strived and strived to get it, to get validation again, to cover my insecurities, building an insane physique for attention, you know, getting to a high level of rugby so fans loved watching me play. All to protect me, to protect these insecurities. Again, this is what many people do what I do, spending money to convince people that I had more money than I did. So people would think I was successful, telling lies about how successful I was. So again, people would think I was successful. Why? To make me feel good. Why else? To cover up my biggest fear, that I'm not enough and that I wasn't good enough. So I've now realized all of these were the biggest lies that I ever told myself. I'm not good enough. I'll never amount to anything. I'm not a failure. I'm useless. I'm unlovable. All lies. Okay. And one of the amazing things that Peter said was, every one of us was born with a golden medal. And we forget this because the race of the sperm is a 400 million to 1 chance of succeeding. And you, I, and anyone else watching this video won that race. So how can you not be good enough if you've won a 400 to million long shot race? Now, I may have messed up. I've messed up more than most. But we're here to make mistakes. Messing up doesn't make you a mess up. Failing doesn't make you a failure. And I will never tell myself that again. I will never tell myself that I'm not good enough. I will never tell myself that I'm a failure, because our subconscious mind doesn't know when we're telling the truth or when we're telling lies. Bruce Lee said this. So we'll take it literally. So the thing that you keep telling yourself, maybe ask yourself that question now. What's the biggest lie you keep telling yourself every day? Write it down. Be honest. Post it on this video if you want. Post it in the WhatsApp group. Post it in the private Facebook group. But be honest. What is the big lie that you keep telling yourself every day? Now, I have failed, but that is very different to I am a failure. And I can now separate those two things, because the truth is we will always remain consistent with how we define ourselves. I am equals your identity. So if I'm not good enough, I am defining myself as not good enough. Guess what? I will think that I'm not good enough. And I will probably start to take part in habits that show that I'm not good enough. I don't take things or challenges on to prove that I'm good enough, because I already think that I'm not, because I've told myself. So many of us have created an identity that is holding us back from our potential. You know, there's several people who, you know, I've seen their identities on Facebook or Instagram, and it literally says under their thing, yo-yo dieter, chronic depression sufferer, IBS warrior. So they're defining themselves as the thing that they believe they can't change that's holding them back. So we have to fail in order to learn. We've heard this before, fail forwards. You cannot learn anything without making mistakes. You cannot move forward without making mistakes. You cannot move forward without failing. But that doesn't make you a failure. That just means you're trying your best. So again, think about who you define yourself as. People again define themselves as, I'm an all or nothing person. That holds them back. I'm a quitter. That holds them back. They're not. You may have quit. That doesn't mean you're a quitter. You've just taken it on as your identity. So for 30 years, as long as I can really remember, I've been trying to prove that I'm good enough, trying to prove that I'm successful enough, clever enough, hardworking enough. And I've only just realized now, 40 plus years into life, nobody fucking cares. Nobody cares. That's my ego. It's all driven from me. Nobody cares about any of these things that I'm trying to prove. Think about it, right? Who am I actually trying to prove it to? Myself. And it all comes down to, again, what Peter called in this training, goop, the good opinion of other people. We get locked in such a mindset that we think everyone is watching my life. Everyone is judging me. Everyone has an opinion on me. And I'm trying to make sure that my actions make sure that their opinions are good. We do this in careers. We do this in relationships. Okay. But there's a big difference between biological maturity, 42 years old, and emotional maturity. And like me, many of you will still be emotional teenagers running around in an adult's body. Now, we're all going to get old. We're all going to die. Morbid as it sounds. Remember, me and Marcus had that conversation, and he just said to me, mate, we're all going to be dust one day. Sounds morbid, but it's true. So let's not deny ourselves any more happiness with these crazy identities that we've created. Let's not deny ourselves any more lost days worrying about the opinion of other people that don't even matter, other people that probably aren't even watching or remotely interested in you, your conversations, your actions, your successes, or your life. Nobody cares. You are the only person that cares, and you are the only person that can change this. Now, the one thing that we need to do that will be life-changing if you can nail it, and it's not easy, and it's what the whole rest of the theme of this training is going to come on to. You have to become okay with not being liked. I love you all. With love, I don't give a fuck whether you like me or not. I have let go of that. I would never even do one of these trainings or do a Facebook Live if I sat down and thought, right, I need to make sure that everybody likes what I'm going to say, that everybody agrees with me. This is what we talk about, an inappropriate need for certainty. Again, this is the ego. Many people have an inappropriate need that everyone needs to agree with them, especially their partners or their husbands and their wives. They don't. We have to stop caring what other people think, and we have to go through life being okay with not being liked. Because guess what happens if we go through life trying to be liked? You won't be yourself. If you notice how really successful people don't seem to really care whether anyone likes them or not, do you think they think, right, before I say this and take this action, I'm going to think about all the other people and whether they're going to agree with me or like me for doing it? They don't. They just do it. And the reality is, unsuccessful people are petrified of it. People get married because of it. People stay in jobs their whole life where they're unhappy because of it. They stay quiet because they're petrified of not being liked. They don't take any action because of it. Now, not being liked doesn't have to mean you're a see you next Tuesday. That's not what it's about. It's not saying, okay, if I'm not liked, that means I'm being a dick. You're just being you. And if someone thinks you being your authentic self makes you a dick, then allow them to have that opinion. Because they are not the star of your movie. You are. Now, the world is also full of, I love this phrase, sensitive snowflakes. I have been a sensitive snowflake. But when people say this phrase, which I keep hearing all the time, oh, you can't say anything anymore. Yeah, you can. You can say what the fuck you want. That's your problem. The reason why you think you can't say anything anymore is because you are emotionally attached to other people's opinions of you. You are worried about what other people are going to say. You are worried that other people won't like you if you say the thing that you're saying, that you can't say anything at all. My clients know this now. I will say anything. How they choose respond to it is their problem, not mine. I would never be able to coach people if not. You know, it's absolute bullshit. It's not that you can't say anything. It's just that you give too much of a shit about what other people's opinions are going to be about what you're going to say. Or you care too much about what their response will be to you being your authentic self. And when you can become truly okay with who you are, create your own identity that's authentic, you will win so much more. You will gain more friends, more significance, more validation, and people will even like you more for being yourself. You're not being yourself because you are worried that if you are, people won't like you. I guarantee you, when you truly are yourself, the right people will like you more. Why? Authenticity. We have to understand, and again, this comes from so many trainings that Paul's given me as well. We are the star of our own lives. We are the only person in every scene, the only person. Your life, your book, your movie, your story. Everyone else can only play one of two roles. They can either be the supporting cast. This is your husband or wife, your kids, your very close family and friends. And then we have a whole host of other people, the extras that have come and gone, month by month, week by week, year by year. Most people, now I'm sure you will agree, it's very rarely the supporting cast who we worry about their opinions. Some people do, like I said, some people get married based on a lie because they're petrified of saying what they think, because they think their partner might not like them, or it might upset them, or it might upset their family. So these are the ones that will probably support us no matter what, so it doesn't matter. And then we have the extras. Who gives a fucking shit about extras? They don't even get their name read out at the end of the film. They are that insignificant. They are not going to be at your wedding. They are not going to be at your funeral. They're not going to be sat round the dinner table with you at Christmas. And you waste hours worrying about what they think. You waste your life not taking action because you're worried about their response. Or you waste your life taking unnecessary action, trying to prove to these extras that you're good enough. And the reality is, they are all too busy living their lives to give a shit about you. The only thing that's leading you to believe that is your ego and your imagination. God, I can't do that. What will they think? And the reality, I literally wrote down here in my notes, listen to how mental this is. Most people don't care about what you think because they are too busy worrying about what you think about them. So I'm worried that how Dave will respond if I take this action. However, Dave doesn't give a shit because Dave's actually worrying about how I will respond if he takes that action. Like, literally listen to how mental it is. Nobody's worrying about what you're doing because many of them are worried about what you think about what they're doing. It's mental. But so many people change who they are. And I get it because it's the tribe mentality. If you get excluded from the tribe, you get left out, you don't get fed, you don't get any shelter, and you starve. This has come through generations and generations. But what we do is we adapt our own lives and not being authentic to try and fit what we think other people's approval level of what we should be like is. Whereas if we could just stand tall and be our own person, be our authentic self, and live our life as the fucking star of that movie, you will give so much more to the world. And this is a new affirmation that I wrote down that I'm now reading out each day to myself in the morning. I am Lee Freeman. I am who I am, and I will make no fucking apology for that. Not to you, not to anyone, not now, not ever. My role is I'm here to help and guide as many people as possible towards living happier lives. But I will not trade my authenticity for somebody else's needs or because I have an emotional attachment as to whether they like me or not. As I said, I love all of you. I don't give a fuck if you like me or not. I'm here to help you. I also, which is what I'll come on to, I'm no longer emotionally attached to what you decide to do with that help. Why? Think about it. I'm not in charge of it. I can give you all the coaching on nutrition, mindset, and training in the world, but you have to take the action. So why would it make any sense for me to be emotionally attached as to whether you do or not? Again, a lot of coaches do this. They rate themselves on the actions that their clients take. I'm not in charge of that. And the sad thing is, many people, including myself, have gone through entire relationships, careers, long periods of their life, 10 years plus, not being their self. Why? Because they're trying to be liked. Most of us probably went through school being this. Guess what? Who were the people who were liked most at school? Were they the people that didn't give a shit whether anyone who liked them or not, and they were truly authentic? Of course they were. That's the reason why you need to be okay with not being liked, because it's not about you. Everyone is on a different part of their journey, a different part of life. Now, we see this all the time in our industry, right? Or in our area of fitness, nutrition, body transformations, personal development, career development, whatever we want to call it. So how many of you guys have experienced this? You come on board, if you're one of my clients, or you might have been on board with another coach, and all of a sudden you see the benefits of reading personal development books, going to the gym, eating healthily, stopping negative habits, drinking, gambling, smoking, taking drugs, pornography, any of the negative habits that people partake in. And all of a sudden, because it's changed your life, you want the whole world to be on that journey with you. And we'll try to push this onto them. And we start to preach about it. You see this on Facebook all the time. People get in shape and all they do is preach about nutrition and training, and now they're better than everyone else because they don't drink, and they're better than everyone else because they go to the gym, and they're better than everyone else because they learn more money. And people will say, like, that's bullshit. I'm not doing that. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to be on your journey. It doesn't work for me. This is when people play the victim. Nutrition doesn't, no diet plans ever work for me. Fuck off. You never stuck to any diet plan. That's why no diet plans never worked for you. You've never tried personal development long enough to have the benefits. That's why it's never worked for you. But this is when they say things and then we try to argue, and we've got to stop that. People say, oh, nothing ever works for me. People don't understand me. It's different for me. I'm not into that. This is like a number one. I don't even reply to these questionnaires. Okay. Some applications come in and they say, yada, yada, yada. I want training and nutrition. I don't need any of that mindset stuff. I'm not coaching you. Because it's a closed mindset of an individual. You can't coach somebody who already thinks they know exactly what they need, and they know exactly what they need, because if that was true, they would do it. So they're giving you a signal from the outset that they're not going to do the work. But that's cool. So if your wife or husband or friends or family, you try to preach them a little bit, because let's face it, you're doing it from a good place because you care. Maybe they're depressed, maybe they're fat, maybe they're unhappy, and you keep trying to push them to be on this journey with you that's going to take them to a higher place, and they don't want to do it, and they probably feel attacked. You know, we need to understand they just haven't got your experience, and they don't need to be where you are. They are as far along in life as they should be. So it will just create bad energy. And the reality is, most of you watching this, the rest of the world won't even ever get as far as you. And the unfortunate thing is, the further you go, the more you develop your body, the more you develop your mind, the more you develop your career, the better you become in all areas of life. You'll see how this is going to loop round. Guess what's going to happen? People aren't going to like you. And sometimes this leads to people almost making it, and then they go back to their bad habits because their partner, like, I've actually had a client say this. It was a wife of a male client who lost over £100. And she said to her husband, I liked Fat X more. At least he was a fucking laugh. And he told me about it. Mortified. But the reality is that will happen. And this is why you have to be okay with not being liked. Because she felt threatened by his success, his progress, his positivity, and she wanted to pull him back to her level where it's safe and comfortable. Safety in numbers, right? So the way to do this is don't try and drag them with you. Peter said something amazing that stuck with me. What's better, a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old? Neither. They're both the same. They're just at different stages in life. You don't look at your kids and you go, well, I've got a 10-year-old, he's better than my 5-year-old. You just love them both equally because one's just further along than the other. And your friends or family that you're trying to drag on this journey with you, they shouldn't be where you are. They should be where they already are, doing their own thing, being on their journey, not yours, being their authentic self, not caring if they're liked or not, just like you're being your authentic self, not caring if you are liked or not. Now, how this changes is we can be the lighthouse, we can be the beacon, we can be the example, we can be the invitation, we can be the coach, we can be the leader, we can be the preacher. I want all of you to do more personal development than ever before. I want you to get in great shape. I want you to journal every day. I want you to set electrifying goals that make you want to jump out of bed early and stay up late. I want you to live the happiest life ever. I want to improve your careers. I want to improve every single aspect of your life. And I will keep pushing that onto you relentlessly, whether you like it or not, because that's my job, that's my gift, that's my goal. But what I've let go of, and what Peter taught me, is I don't care what you do with that information. That's not up to me. I'm not in charge. Because if I start getting triggered and upset every time someone doesn't track their food, every time someone doesn't use the planner, every time someone decides not to train, I'll keep trying to help you, but I'm not emotionally attached to whether you take action or not. So don't try and force people. Be the example, be the leader, but don't try to force them. And I know it's because you care, and it might be your partner who's grossly overweight and depressed, and you're trying to help them all the time. And it comes from a good place because you care about them and because you love them. But they don't hear that. What do you think they hear? They feel like they're being attacked because they didn't ask you for advice. And as we outlined at the start, what is all of our biggest fear? Our biggest fear is that we're not good enough, that we're not liked, and that overall we're just not enough. Now, how do they feel when you're trying to tell them what to do? Like you're judging them and you think that they are not enough. They feel attacked, which is why people take offense when you try to help them. So think about it. Your biggest fear at the start, even though you're moving for it, that you're not enough, you're actually trying to help these people. But what you are essentially, what they hear, even though it's coming from a good place, is that you're telling them that they are not enough. And unfortunately, most people, including myself, will only learn through getting to the darkest depths until there's no opportunity but to change. They won't change when they start gaining a few pounds. They won't change when they start getting a little bit negative, no matter how much you try to tell them, because again, they feel like you're judging them and they're not good enough. And it will probably wait until they're grossly overweight and manically depressed until they have to take action. But again, okay, be cool with that. That's where I got to. Some people will only learn through completely destroying themselves until they can't get any lower, and that's okay. Why? Because all my biggest lessons came from my biggest breakdowns. My biggest breakthroughs came from my biggest breakdowns. And you might need this too. You might need the biggest wake-up call on this earth to try and actually start taking the action you need if you're not already. But don't take that opportunity away from people. Allow them to keep making their mistakes until they learn. That's what I said. It doesn't make them a failure. That's how we learn. But we can't save. I can't save all of you. I can try. And I will keep offering help and empathy and support and coaching. But I don't have any expectation anymore of whether you guys take action or not, because I'm not in charge of that. So I have zero attachment anymore to what you guys do. And this is why I've created so much mental space. I hope you put it into action, because I know it will change your life. That's why I ask you to do the planner. That's why I ask you to watch these trainings. That's why I go live every day. That's why I turn up as hard as I physically can to help you. But what you choose to do with that is essentially up to you. And if I get emotionally attached to whether every person takes my advice or not, you know how that's going to end from a mindset perspective. So another great take home here, and this is what I'm really, really, really getting into connection with now, the difference between the heart and the head. The heart and the head. So if I want results for you more than you want them for yourself, then it's going to be very difficult for me to help you. This is why I don't do sales calls. This is why I don't try and bully people into signing up. This is why I don't overcome objections on phone calls. This is why I don't even really try to sell my plan anymore, because I give the value out. And if people want to come on board, great. But they will come on board when they really want results. Now, if I want results more for you than you want them for yourself, then I'm basically wasting my time. Because again, I'm not in charge of that. I'll still keep trying. I'll always try. You guys are my clients. You're my family. But you have to want the results as much as I want them for you. And if you can't, I'm helpless. And I don't like being helpless. So that's why I don't have that attachment to it anymore. Now, this is the big take home. You may never have heard this, but it's changed my life. If your brain wants something more than your heart, then again, you're going to struggle. Listen to that again. If your brain wants something more than your heart, you are going to struggle. If you have brain goals, not heart goals, you are going to struggle. This is why people set safe goals. This is why they set things they know they can achieve, and then they wonder why they lose motivation, because you weren't inspired. It wasn't testing you. It didn't motivate you. You know, this is with the 101 miles. The next one, I've already failed it once. I don't know if I'm going to do it on that day. That's what fucking inspires me. Going where I've not been before. But if I think about that race, what would my brain tell me? Well, my brain would go back to, couldn't walk for 3 days afterwards. My brain would go back to, I blew my Achilles. My brain would go back to, I don't need to prove anyone to do anything. My brain would go back to, I could be on holiday that week. My brain would go to, I'm getting paid for it. In fact, it's going to cost me money. Why am I investing hours of money and time? And you guys know how much running I'm doing. Hours and hours and hours of physical pain, money and time into something that I'm not getting paid for. It doesn't really get me anything at all. What would my heart tell me? What would my heart tell me? That I'm doing it for a special person. 3 special people. That it's going to inspire and impact thousands of people, that it's going to change lives, that it's going to reach probably a global audience, that it might just prevent multiple suicides. And then it's a no-brainer. And that's why I don't need motivation to do it. Because it's not a brain goal. It's a heart goal. It's a passion. Now, our brain's job, or the role it plays, is to justify our behavior in line with our emotional state. That's another affirmation I write down each day. Our brain's job is to justify our behavior in alignment with our emotional state. That might not make a lot of sense to you, but it will now. Think about the last time you were angry. Did your brain instantly come up with a reason as to why it was somebody else's fault? Let's face it, you didn't make yourself angry, did you? If you don't want to train and go to the gym or go for a run or get your steps in, does your brain come up with a reason why it's okay for not doing it today? Look at the run that I talked about last Monday when it was raining, the 400-meter sprints. My brain came up with many reasons not to do that run, why I didn't need to do it and why I could do it tomorrow and why it wasn't a good idea in the weather and why it was a bank holiday and all those things. My heart told me that I was on a mission that I'm passionate about. So I took the right actions. If you want to eat shit or get pissed or gamble, your brain comes up with a reason why it's okay, doesn't it? You guys write this to me sometimes. Yeah, I did X, but it's okay because of Y. Or we even quantify it. We start to talk ourselves out of the behavior. We start to set mediocre standards. I've done this, fallen into this trap many times. I only went to the gym 3 times this week, but hey, I'm okay with that because it's all about balance. That's your head talking. So your head's not thinking about the reasons why you were going to the gym to achieve the goals and the emotional attachments behind them. It's quantifying why you feel it was okay to take the easy road out. Sound familiar? Triggers me a little bit when people put that. I only did insert mediocre effort, but I'm okay with that because insert brain's reason for being mediocre. I don't think any of you want to be mediocre. So the brain comes up with this reason for not doing it, as it did for me with those runs. But then how you act comes down to your values and your discipline. So my heart went to, you're a fucking leader, Lee. How can you not do that run and expect people to do it? How can you have the values of integrity and honesty and then not do the run on the day you said you would? How can you have released an unbreakable 90 success planner that says what doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done and not stick to your fucking schedule because your brain's come up with a reason why it was okay not to? That's the difference between brain goals and heart goals. So if you set head goals, not heart goals, what will you always need? What's the one thing we all struggle with? Motivation. Head goals will always need motivations. Heart goals, you'll do them no matter what, because you won't be inspired with head goals. Heart goals, you will be. If you set heart goals, you'll do the fucking work no matter what. Think about it. You can have a Porsche, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini. But if you've not got any petrol, how far are you going to go and how fast are you going to be able to drive it? Nowhere. And even if you have some petrol and some diesel, what's eventually going to happen? It will run out. And then when it runs out, you'll need motivation. So you'll go to another coach or a seminar or a talk or listen to one of these to top your motivation up before it gets low again, and then you crash and you burn, and then you need more motivation, so you get some from somewhere, and the cycle goes round and round and round and round and round. This is the difference between motivation and inspiration. Do you want to be motivated or do you want to be inspired? That's the difference between your head and your heart. When you're inspired, you don't need motivation. Motivation is brain-driven. Inspiration is heart-driven. My goals for this year light me up. Look how excited and animated I'm getting now thinking about them. How my energy is changing this video just because I've started to think about my inspired goals. They get me out of bed early. They'll keep me up late at night. I'm recording this training on a Sunday. Why? Because I'm inspired to do it. And this is the biggest one for me. You guys know I've spoken about this already. I am no longer setting any financial goals in my life. I don't give a fuck about 5, 10, 15, 100K months. Not interested. Not bothered. Why? Because it's a brain goal. I'll always need motivation. And that will always run out. So I will always end up back at square one. And this is the best analogy I've ever heard. Again, from Peter Sage. 2 dog bowls. One has some chicken dippers in it, I think he said. The other has got 50 grand in it. Put them both in front of Frankie. Which bowl is he going to go to? Chicken dippers every time. Why? Because it's in his heart. He's not bothered about the money. Which one would you and I go to? The money every single time, because we're using our head, not our heart. And we have to understand money is just a vehicle to do things. Confidence is just a vehicle to get things. Fat loss is just a vehicle to get things. Building. This is again where people go wrong. Most people say, I want more confidence. They don't. They don't. Bullshit. What they want is what more confidence gives them. What even is confidence? You don't want confidence. You want the outcome of confidence. Very often related to the opposite sex. Or achievements. So rather than thinking about that, stop thinking about losing weight and stop thinking about, why do I want to lose weight? Stop thinking about making more money and think about, why do I want to make more money? Nobody in this group actually has a food problem. Okay, you have a story about food problem. The story you keep telling yourself about food. I am a quitter. I am a binge eater. I struggle at weekends. I can't stick to any diet. I get sugar cravings. And again, money's the best example to describe this, but money is a medium of exchange used to measure perceived value. That's what I learned. Money is a medium of exchange used to measure perceived value. How much is a house worth? It's worth whatever anyone is willing to pay for it. Perception. But what I've also learned, and I remember an old mentor, Phil Graham, saying this to me many moons ago. You chase the rabbit of success, it will always run away. If you chase fat loss, you'll probably not lose body fat. If you chase money, you'll probably not make any. If you chase significance, you won't get any. If you chase people loving you, you won't get any. If you chase trying to find a partner, you'll probably never get one. Anything you chase will move further away. So think about what you're chasing and how you might be able to relate that to why you're not achieving it. And another great analogy was, you don't look at a set of dumbbells and say, give me some strength and I'll go lift them weights. You have to lift the weights to get the strength. It doesn't work like that. You have to do the cardio to drop the body fat. You have to give the value in your career to get the money. Stop chasing strength without lifting weights. Stop chasing fat loss without doing cardio. Stop chasing money without giving value. You will only ever get what you give. So stop trying to get things. Stop making everything about you. Stop worrying about whether people like you or not. Stop worrying about whether you'll win or lose. Stop worrying about opinions and just start giving. Nail this, and every single area of life that you've ever wanted will open up to you. Money will come freely and easily to you. The more value you give, the more money you get. But if you chase money without giving value, you're going to get fuck all. Fat loss and your dream body, muscle building and your dream body will come freely and easily to you. If you focus on doing the running, you focus on lifting the weights, you focus on nailing your diet and giving 100%. Wanting the thing won't make it come to you. The more I run, the better I'm going to get. The more I keep giving value throughout my social media, clients will come freely and easily towards me. I won't have to chase them. I won't have to be getting up every day trying to get sales, trying to get more clients, trying to get more followers. Instagram's a perfect example. Do you know how many people are trying to get followers and they get none? Whereas people who get loads of followers, they're never thinking about getting followers. They're just thinking about giving value. So stop focusing on success and start focusing on becoming a person of value. Stop focusing on losing weight and start focusing on getting better at training. Start focus on giving more in your careers, giving more value. Combine all of these into one and make sure we are just giving without a single thought for whether people like us or not, because we are truly authentic, and you will be rich and ripped before you know it. The key to living a successful life is understanding that it is a contribution-based experience, and you will only ever get what you give. And if you are giving nothing, you will get nothing. So stop trying to get things without giving, and just give as much value to the world and to helping other people as you can, with a heart that's full, without any expectation of anything that's been returned, and you will go to levels you never even dreamed of. Have an awesome week.